This is one harsh truth that you're going to have to accept when you want to push yourself into being a better artist, if you really, really want to improve as an artist. And I mean that as an artist with a capital A. You know what I mean? Not just an artist like, oh, I just draw, I just make stuff. No, an artist, like an actual creative. And that harsh truth is that you will never ever be like your favorite artist. You will never be exactly like them. In fact, that's just life in general. You will never be exactly like somebody else. And it's not the fact that you will never be, it's the fact that you can never be your favorite artist. And that isn't a bad thing. That shouldn't discourage you into no longer creating, because trying to be like your favorite artist will only really end up turning you into a cheaper version of them, into a discount version of them. People will be able to sense that, oh, this artist is trying to be like this, like that. And obviously, we look up to people, we look up to role models, and that's good. We can learn a thing or two from people, they call it standing on the shoulders of giants. You just have to accept the fact that you can never be like them. You'll never ever achieve the same outcome as your favorite artist. And this is something that I've also fallen into quite a lot. It's like I'm working on a piece and I just look at my favorite artists and just try to hyper analyze every single little detail that they put, and I try to put it into my work, and it never really ends up looking like my favorite artist, and it doesn't really end up looking like anything that I wanted it to be. And the problem with that is when we focus way too much on trying to be like another artist, no matter how much you look up to them, you'll end up losing your work. You'll end up losing yourself in the process. And your work just ends up being so confusing. It just doesn't feel like you, nor it doesn't feel like theirs. Not never being like your favorite artist and not trying to be like your favorite artist should not be a bad thing. In fact, it's actually good. You should focus on being you. Focus on your art. Embrace your own individuality, embrace your own uniqueness, your own experience, your own touch, express your own perception, your own perspective, communicate that. Let people know how you see and how you manipulate, stylize, how you see the world in your own way. The more you try to be like this perfect artist, this perfect ideal of what you want your art to look like, the more you actually end up straying further away from that perfect ideal. Because that perfect ideal that you got, most of the time, ends up actually stemming from what you think others will find impressive, what others will find that looks good. And when we're entering into this world of art as a market, obviously we want people to like the work. We want to think about what people like, but at the same time, if you look at the artist that you look up to, if you actually do some reflection, and this reaches far more than just illustrations and pictures, even music. I think music is a very big part because I'm a big music person, like I love listening to music. I listen to music almost probably 80-90% of the time. But if you just do some reflection on those artists, you see how different they are, but you see that there's cohesion in their works. Some people will resonate with their work, some people won't. Some people may like this type of music, some people might not. But those artists are being fully them. They're not trying to be, Kendrick is not trying to be Drake. I know there's a bad comparison. J. Cole isn't trying to be Tupac. The Baby isn't trying to be Kendrick. No, they're them. They're an artist. If you think about all the artists that you like, you can see that there's so many different styles that if you try to copy, people always say this advice of like, oh, take all your inspirations and put them into one and put them into your work. But the problem is, those people are so fucking different that if you try to put them all together, it's not gonna look like anything cohesive. But if it came from you, then maybe it could. Therefore, yeah, you want to put inspirations into your works, but you still want to express your art in your own way. You need to stop looking to others for answers on something that's deeply personal within you, because that is your own experience, that is your own perspective, that is your own perception. These are your own thoughts, these are your own ideas, these are your own experiences. It could be a character that you love, the way you see them, you want to express them. It's your own expression. So if you keep looking to others for answers on how do I express this, then you'll just end up not expressing what you wanted to in the first place. Start to look within yourself. Start to do some, as you work on your piece, start to do some reflecting. Start to do some digging deep into yourself to truly understand what you like. Not just bringing up a picture of an artist's illustration that's looking at this, oh, they did it this way, and I'm gonna do it this way. No, because then you're doing it their way, not your way. And what ends up happening is you stray further from where you actually truly want to go. Don't worry about what anyone else might think or say. And I know as artists, our biggest enemies are ourselves. Probably by the time we're working on a piece, we're halfway through the piece, or maybe just working on a sketch, we're not really thinking about what other people think. We're thinking about what we think about our own work, and we're like, ugh, this looks like shit, this is the worst, this isn't like blah blah blah, this isn't like X and Y. But that's also the problem. We might be comparing ourselves to an artist that we like, we might be comparing ourselves to other people, but art is subjective. We can't call one thing good or bad because it's their own expression. You get along with some people, you don't get along with others. It's self-expression. That's the way they express themselves. So I mean, obviously this does not mean that you don't want to improve. Like, there's obviously extremes on either side. Some people justify every single art mistake as their style, and some people fall too hard into copying another artist that's like, it's not really you. You know what I mean? The shift that we want to get, the mindset shift that we want to make with artists that we look up to, is we want to understand the core fundamental principle that they apply in terms of their work. It always has to go back into the basics, and we're kind of going into a more technical side here. Instead of trying to ask yourself, okay, this artist made this shadow this way, this artist chose this color like this, you want to ask yourself at that moment, not necessarily like what they're simply doing, but actually understanding why they chose this shape, why they chose this color, what is the concept, what is the fundamental of color and light that they applied or manipulated to get this desired effect. And when we understand the core fundamental that they apply, it's almost like, you know how art is a form of communication? I'm scratching my ass. Art is visual language, right? And when we start to understand the core fundamentals that they're applying in their own work, it's almost like we are able to get into a much deeper conversation with these artists than just small talk. We understand their beliefs. I'm talking like communication, like words, you know. We understand their experiences more. We have more context behind what they say and all that kind of stuff. It's the more educated we are, the more we can converse with people with a lot deeper topics. And usually those conversations are the conversations that we'd actually want. But then through understanding that, we can apply that to actually improve the way we communicate as well. When we understand the core fundamentals that they apply to communicate their art better, to communicate their own self-expression better, we can also apply that to communicate our own expression. So we take not what, but why and how. Going back to the analogy of communication, the more we learn from people, like their own beliefs and their ideas, we can conjugate those things that we learn with our own beliefs and ideas and thoughts and experiences, and then we can form a new thought. We can form new beliefs, new and improved and more educated beliefs, and then we can communicate with other people better. And so, going back to art, we can apply those fundamentals way better, and we can achieve what we want to say much better. All in all, at the end of the day, stop trying to be like your favorite artist, but instead try to understand them more. We're all unique, we're all our own people. You stop comparing yourselves to other people. So, if you'll never be like your favorite artist, then you only really got one choice, and that is to be you. So, yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. I'll see y'all in the next video.